was watching the NBA game. Well, I don't know if it was yesterday or a couple of days ago. It was actually the Nets game. Um, and I seen a sign, and the sign actually went viral, and it really had me thinking. But the sign read, KD is my GOAT pick. Sorry, MJ, I'm only 12. There was a little girl who was holding
Yeah,
the
I
sign
saw
up. I
that.
thought it was cute. So it really got me thinking that people born today have never seen the likes of MJ, Kobe, AI, Steph, LeBron, never seen them play. Us, you guys, we never seen the likes of Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, Bill Russell. We never seen them play. So I was sitting there wondering, how can we really determine the GOAT or the Mount Rushmore, which is only about 4 or 5 players, something like that, for
Four.
the
Mm-hmm.
entire history of the NBA. So my question to you is, do you think the NBA GOAT or Mount Rushmore should be generational beasts? Okay, well, I'm gonna come to you first.
I mean, you could do that, but I'm looking at it from an overall standpoint. I get where you guys are coming from here. But what the NBA has done recently is what they do when they name the awards, the postseason awards or the season awards, by giving these guys these titles. Like, the MVP award goes to who? Michael Jordan. They named it after Michael Jordan. So you could do the generational thing. I get it, but there still has to be a conversation about who the greatest is of all time. But you could, if you want to break it up in little slices, you could do that. But I like to eat everything at once, to be honest with you. To be honest with you, but if you want to break it up in slices, I get that. If you're 12 years old, the GOAT, you don't really have anyone to compare it to. Right now, I mean, you can look at. She's 12. You mean she's taking LeBron out of the conversation? Who else she really has to compare him to at being 12?
Mm-hmm.
So with all that being said, I'm going to say I'm not with the generational thing. I want the whole thing. I want you who's to be the greatest of all time. But if you want me to put in the conversation who's the greatest of this generation, that generation, I could come up with a GOAT in that case. I wouldn't put KD in that GOAT conversation generational though. I wouldn't do that.
But look, K-Walk, Jay, before I come to you, K-Walk, let me ask you something. How do we know that LeBron was better than, I don't know, Magic Johnson if we never seen them go up against each other? How do we know MJ was better than, I don't know, who was the guy from back in the day? Trying to think of somebody. Can't think of somebody right now.
Oh,
but one of the guys,
Oscar Robertson.
There you go. Thank you, Oscar. Okay. Oscar Robertson was a triple-double genius. So how about this? How we know Russell Westbrook was better than Oscar Robertson, since they're more triple-double?
Okay.
We don't know because we never seen them play against each other, right? No, I'm not. I'm just saying. I'm just trying
to. No, we don't. I mean, if you want to break it down that way, then how do we know KD is better than LeBron? How do we figure that out? How do we come up to that? How we come up to that?
Well, we've seen them play against each other, but what I'm saying is different generations. Right?
Yeah, I get.
So how do we know Shaq is better than Wilt?
Well, I think Shaq is better than Wilt. I think Shaq is better than Wilt because of the domination. I think what happens is when you look into generational, if you want to talk generational, I think where MJ had played at, and I'm sounding biased here, I think in those 80s, I think that's where you have to really start to see who were the best guys, because that's when they really allowed you to play basketball. I mean, defense. I mean, you go up for a layup and you get hit in the head, it's a common foul. Or if you get a foul at all. So, I mean, there's so many different layers to this. I get it. But for the sake of the time, for time permitting, we don't know. To answer your question, we don't know for sure. But if you break it down, yeah, let's go with the generational. I'd love to have a conversation like that on another show for another day, another topic, and I'll do a generational thing. But right now, MJ is by far the best. Is the GOAT of all time for me. Is the GOAT, obviously.
Because I will say this, when it comes to the Wilt and Shaq or whoever else, the other centers, back in the day, they couldn't dunk. So Wilt had to shoot it, lay it up, shoot free throws. Shaq can't shoot, and he can't shoot free throws. He could do a hook shot, and he could slam it on you. But that was about it. But Jay, coming to you now, what do you think on my original question?
Yeah, no, look, I think in some ways the NBA GOAT is generational, because depending on who you talk to, you're going to get a generational answer. Like, go ask someone that's 70 or 80. They're not going to say MJ. just because they're just not. They just don't want to give MJ his due. And then if you go talk to somebody that's 12 or 15, you might get an answer like LeBron or Kobe or KD. So in some ways, I do think even now it is generational, but I tend to side with K-Walk here. Like, it's very hard for me to go in any other direction than Michael Jordan, but I think that's because K-Walk and I grew up on MJ. That's all we know. So it's hard to go in another direction other than MJ. But look, at the end of the day, really, Britt, it's all just opinion. Like, I can think MJ's the greatest. You could think LeBron's the greatest, and there's really no way to settle it. So it's all opinion. I do think at some point, right? I mean, think about it. K-Walk, when we're 80-year-old grandpas, I don't know that MJ's still going to be Mj the GOAT, you know?
That's true. So because someone else could come along.
It's going to change with the generation.
I just haven't, someone else could come along to make MJ look like he's not the GOAT in the conversation, but I don't see that, and I haven't seen that, in my opinion. I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there are no great ball players come by, but I still haven't seen anyone better than him.
So, Britt, I don't think I answered your question. I say yes and no. Yes, and
that's
no.
what I said.
Look, this is what I say. Because, of course, we have a lot of biasness because of who we grew up on. You guys grew up on MJ. I was partly MJ. And then, I seen the Kobe's and the AI. So I came into the mid to end of MJ's career. Then when I say mid, I mean when he was winning the championships mid. And I probably only remember one or two of those championships from based off when I was born. So I can also say MJ's the GOAT, which I do believe he's the GOAT. But to answer my own question, I do think it was going to be more generational because somebody born today won't even know who Michael Jordan is. They're going to be like, who? I like those sneakers, but I don't know who the heck he is. His estate, hopefully he's 150 years old, guys, when he passes away, and his estate continues on, which most likely it will. People are going to know the sneakers way more than they ever seen Michael Jordan or know anything about him playing basketball. So it's just going to happen. So I think, although we're biased, I think it will then become a generational, or it is a generational base GOAT, because we see it now. Our grandparents, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Jerry West, so forth. Us, Michael Jordan, your grandkids, my great grands. I'm just kidding. Will say, Luka or Ja. So to me, it will become generational. But all right, guys, we gotta go to break now.